Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So right now we have a Yamaha golf cart electric and the batteries are completely dead. And what we're going to be doing is changing out the batteries with one singular battery. Right now there are 6 8-volt batteries and we're going to be switching them out for a 48 single battery. Alright, currently we have 6 8-volt batteries. First we need to take these batteries out, all its connections. There are a couple fuses because this golf cart does have a radio, aftermarket lights. So we're going to go ahead and remove all of these. These are currently 2GC 8-volt batteries, so it's a 48-volt golf cart. And we are going to be replacing it with a battery that I bought off VEVOR. Alright, removing the batteries, we're going to use a 14mm socket. And I'm first going to disconnect every single one of the batteries. Now I'm just going to remove all the cables connecting them all. These batteries are in sequence. They go from positive to negative, positive to negative. It is DC current, of course, since it's these batteries. And you can see there are fuses. These are the fuses going to go to the radio, the lights, and a few other things. Just got to tear it all out. You also have these hold downs. Those are 12mm sockets or 12mm bolts. Once I take all these out, we will not be reusing it because we're moving it to one singular battery, not 6 in a sequence. Remove these hold downs. Alright, now that we got most everything out of the way, now we're going to start pulling out the batteries. Alright, now that we got this battery well, I'm going to call it, all cleaned out, let's start looking at everything that we have. So I bought this golf cart used, so I really don't know much about it, except when we bought it we thought the batteries were good, but they weren't. Alright, so you have your positive lead, your negative lead, a couple leads here. I got to trace and figure out, I assume, positive and negative. You got a fuse on one of them. And this is a 15 amp fuse. Once again, 2 more cables here. Positive, negative, I assume, but I will trace it out. 1 more fuse, 15 amp, positive, negative. This looks like somebody plugged up, so we'll just ignore that. And we do have a lot of rust in here, so we'll see if we can't get all that cleaned up and out of here. Because when I put the new battery in there, I want it to be good and fresh. A fresh place for it to sit. All right, so I'm now going to vacuum up all the debris. Obviously it's not going to be perfect, but I want to get as much out as I can. Going down the center, there's this rib going this way and this way. It's there for structure and also to hold the batteries in place. My problem is, if once I put the singular battery in place, it's going to wobble back and forth. To solve for that, I'm going to use these 2x6 pieces, and the battery is going to sit right on top. All right, let's talk about the battery. I bought this battery off of VEVOR. It's a 51.2 volts, 105 amps, which is good enough for this golf cart because it is a 48 volt, since those 3 volts really do not matter. But let's just go and open the box up and see what's inside. So with this battery, it did come with a little screen so you can actually see how many volts are on it. It's connected via Bluetooth. Some instructions, some hold down straps, little screws. They come with the connectors to hook the cables to the battery, and also a couple cable connector covers, both positive and negative. They wrapped it up good. All right. Here's our battery. All right, so here's our battery. LiFePO4 golf cart battery, 51.2 volts. 105 amps, should be more than enough to run this golf cart. Over here you have your positive, you have your negative, also a button. That button's for your Bluetooth, I assume, but we'll find out. With that being said, let's go ahead and get her installed and see how she fits. All right, visually it fits perfect. We have a lot of room over here, and I could probably actually make this a compartment for storage. Same thing on that side. I also thought about pushing it all the way to one side, but I didn't want the actual golf cart to be unbalanced because this battery is very heavy. For shipping on the box, it does say that this battery is 85 pounds, so it is kind of heavy for a battery. That's why I'm going to put it in the middle, and that way the golf cart's kind of balanced when it's going down the road. Now, the first problem I see is my cables are not long enough, but not a problem. I knew I'd run into that problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them off, add an extender for both sides. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add extenders onto the current leads coming into the battery. So you have your positive, your negative, and I bought 2 extensions. These are 19-inch. I bought them from Walmart, just extensions. And all they had was the extenders and the bolts. I would have liked to have actually soldered them together. However, they didn't have it. I'll buy some later on. I just got to see if this actually fixes the lawnmower. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run it through. Screw the nut on. And then I'm going to tighten them together. To tighten them, I'm going to use a 12mm socket. And a crescent wrench. And then I'm just going to tighten them. Didn't have to be perfect, but it's kind of hard. The head of this is a square, so it's kind of hard to do. All right, that's one lead, and you can see it's going to fit and reach perfectly. Get my next one, kind of straighten it out a little bit. This one doesn't have to reach as far, so I should have bought a shorter one, but live and learn. Yeah. Not the head of it's actually staying in place. Ugh. All right, when I get done, I'm gonna come back through here and put electrical tape all the way around it. Now there's these plastic covers. Take those off. The two bolts that it came with. These bolts, they have a bolt, a washer, and a lock washer. So they're going to go on just like that. However, I have all these other cables, so let's make sure we do them all together. So I'm going to find all my positive leads. Positive. Kind of clean them up. They're really dirty. I'll do another positive lead, and then we will have we're gonna have 3 positives, 3 negative leads. I can probably actually ground these to the golf cart frame, but let's just put them back where they were. So we got 3 positives plus this master positive, which I'll put on the bottom. 1, 2, 3. There's not much to actually bolt it to, but we'll see what we can, how it's going to do. The problem is these bolts very short. All right, the bolts that it came with are 13 millimeters. So I don't have enough. The bolt's not long enough. It's pretty shallow for all of these cables. Usually that wouldn't be a problem, but what I'm thinking is I'll splice this open right here and splice those together. Let's just try it one more time. Well, what do you know? I got it to go. However, I just don't trust it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go buy a longer one, but not right now. Like I said, I'm just trying to make sure it's going to work and that I fixed the problem with the golf cart. Next one, this is a negative lead. Let's see, 1, 2, 3 negatives, and then the master cable here. All right, now that it's all wired in, let's test out to see if the actual golf cart will go. All right, as you can tell, the golf cart was able to go now. Before, it would go and die, go and die. I could only sometimes get it feed or never at all. But now, we have it. So you can see the battery was sliding some. So now we're going to go ahead and strap the battery in. The battery did come with these tie downs. Trying to think of the best way to strap it down. Also, to get the battery to work, I had to turn it on. So I'm not sure about this button. I hope I do not have to turn it on, to push the button every single time I want to turn it on, and turn it off. You got to turn it on, push the button and the battery runs out. I don't know, but I'm going to research that. All right, so it's strapped in, so it's not going to go up and down. However, I'm afraid it's going to slide on these 2x6s. So I'm gonna get a small 2x4 and screw it in on each side. All right, now that we got the battery installed, let's look at this little screen here. The screen has a positive and negative lead, and also has this mounting bracket here. So this will be screwed in on in the front. And then it screws in with these two tiny screws in the back to hold it in place on the front. So with that being said, let's go ahead and figure out where we can route all of these wires. All right, so I'm gonna mount the little monitor right here in the front on this plastic piece. I'm just gonna drill right into it, and one hole I need is so that these wires can run through it. So I'm just gonna drill it right beside. All right, to make it easy, I took the cup holder console out so I could get in here and look at the wires and see what we got. Let's go ahead and feed the wires through. All right, so my problem is the cables that it came with are too short. They will not go all the way and reach the battery. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna cut it off right about here, and I'm going to splice into them. So all you have within here is two wires, positive and a negative. Let me take a little more off. And they are tiny, tiny wires, so I'm afraid I might cut too much, but we'll see. Oh, cut it off perfectly. A little more. All right. And what I'm going to use it's a little bit thicker wire, but it shouldn't be a problem. It's not like it's a big voltage piece that we need to accommodate for. And what I'm going to use to bring them together are these little connectors here. So what these have in it is, once you actually put a heat gun on it, it shrinks, and inside it's a little bit of solder. So once it melts the solder, it's going to bring these wires together to make one. All right, now that I got it in there, I'm going to get my heat gun. Let me bring these apart a little more. They slide out real easily, so sometimes it's best you got an extra pair of hands or your tools ready. And you'll kind of see it melting in the plastic. And that one, still hot to the touch, still flimsy, so once it dries a little bit or cools off a little bit, it'll harden. Now, on to the next one. All right, now that I have everything together, I'm going to use electrical tape. Just going to make sure everything is snug together. All right, now, so these are 2 strands of wire separated. So now I'm gonna zip tie them together. All right, now that have both ends electrical tied, I'm gonna zip tie these 2 strands of wires together so the way they kind of stay together when I run it underneath. All right, cutting off the actual extra of the zip tie. Now I'm going to run it underneath and we'll connect it to the battery. Once again, 13 millimeter, going to take these off. All right, that's tight. Got a lot of slack, but we'll zip tie that up in a second. All right, so the next step is I need to mount the bracket. There's not a lot of room here for my drill, but have these 2 pan-headed screws. That will do the trick, and the kit didn't come with these 2 screws to actually mount it, so just got to make sure you have a couple. All right, that's perfect. Let me go ahead and put it here just to see, make sure it's going to look good. Oh yeah, that's going to look real good. Okay. All we have left is to attach this, and it comes with 2 itty bitty little screws that I don't even know if I have anything fine enough with me. Let me go get it. Now that that's there, we're almost done. Now I'm going to go underneath the rig, zip tie the electrical lines up in it so it doesn't drag the ground.